Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Mica.
Destiny 2 has caught a little bit of flack since its release over how its microtransactions are handled, and now Bungie is issuing a bit of a mea culpa. Another mea culpa. This isn't Groundhog Day. This is another one with promises to give the game's storefront, the Eververse, a bit of an overhaul.
As we're all very, 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 very well aware, this is hardly the first time Bungie has had to apologize for something that went wrong in Destiny 2, or even Destiny 1 for that matter, which begs the question of whether or not these changes are too little, too late.
Well, or you guys, you had to have known about this.
Yeah.
It's not their first time at the rodeo.
No.
It's also another very high-profile game, joining the likes of Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's having to rework microtransactions in order to try to keep its fans engaged and, you know, not completely pissed off. So is this a sign of things to come? Maybe a reversal of some recent trends we've seen regarding invasive microtransactions?
No.
We can cross our fingers and hope.
Bungie's latest "We're sorry, we're going to fix things" came in the form of a new development update from game director Christopher Barrett, who's been saying throughout the week that this news was on the way for Destiny 2 changes.
And boy, are there some changes coming. The new development update covers a whole host of tweaks the community has been asking for months, so that's a great sign that they're listening. However, one of the most noteworthy of these changes would have to be changes to Eververse.
If you're unaware, Eververse has received more than its fair share of criticism over the last few months since Destiny 2's launch, and those criticisms rose to a fever pitch in recent weeks, especially after the release of the Curse of Osiris DLC and the Holiday Dawning event, which I really wouldn't call an event.
Fans have been accusing Bungie of locking some of the game's most desirable endgame content behind the game's Eververse paywall, and on top of that, there was also the recent hidden experience controversy, which wasn't a great look for the developer either. There were a lot of reasonable explanations for why it happened, but it still didn't look great. In that instance, players discovered that the game was secretly throttling XP, which had the side effect of looking like the game was intentionally pushing you to buy bright engrams rather than earning them yourself through experience and progression, and that was probably maybe like true to some degree. I'm sure that was a side bonus, but it was also kind of the same way that a lot of MMOs handle throttling XP if you're doing the same thing over and over. But still.
So yeah, people haven't been too happy about all of that, and it seems like Bungie's finally gotten the message, you know, several months later.
Well, it seemed like they got the message a while ago because they keep saying sorry.
Right.
And making little tweaks, but sometimes those tweaks then broke other things.
In this latest update, director Christopher Barrett wrote, "We recognize the scales are tipped too far towards TES at the moment, and Eververse was never intended to be a substitute for in-game content and rewards. TES is the merchant at the Eververse, if you didn't know."
As such, they're going to start putting the real money-based Eververse items out in the wild as in-game rewards. Plus, they're going to give more ways to earn bright engrams and more ways for players to directly purchase the items they want, which is also pretty awesome instead of just having to roll the dice and hope you can actually get what you want. These changes are going to start rolling out for the Crimson Days event scheduled around Valentine's Day.
Which, side note, is an actually good event. Surprisingly, they also commented on the XP catastrophe, which is a little unexpected because it seemed like their previous word on the matter was all they were gonna say. When the XP issue first went down, they really said, yeah, that happened and we're sorry about it.
Now they're saying, our goal with any updates to XP are transparency and consistent XP gain regardless of your preferred activity. Right now, it's too slow in general and lopsided towards grinding specific activities, which is not a fun grind, and we want to fix that without making those activities low value to players who aren't grinding them. Fairness is cool. Our first attempt turned out to be unworkably buggy, so we're having to investigate other angles.
In addition to talking about the stuff that people have been pissed about regarding microtransactions, they're also updating quite a few gameplay things that we've all been begging for as well, like adding 6v6 multiplayer, changing other endgame activities, reworking the masterwork system, and putting strike scoring back into the game. You might recognize a few of those because, yeah, they were features that were in Destiny 1 that they just took on out, but now they're coming back.
How do you feel about this, Mica?
Don't get me started.
All in all, it sounds like a good start for fans who've been wanting some changes. We'll see if they stick. We'll see if the implementations are as ideal as I'm sure everyone hopes. But the more notable thing going on here is that this is now the second massive AAA game that's had to walk back its microtransaction strategy following major fan outcry towards the latter end of 2017.
You'll no doubt remember that EA had to do the same thing with Battlefront 2 last year once fans—
What?
Well, yeah.
What? No, that was a thing?
I know, and you know when you have the entire internet totally losing their freaking minds about that game's microtransaction heavy multiplayer and tons of pay-to-win mechanics. EA first tried to just lower the prices of everything before they ultimately scrapped the microtransactions altogether, ... for now.
Yeah, no word on when those are going to be back. They haven't said anything yet, but you can be sure that with Battlefront 2's player count continuing to rise, the game actually reportedly sold really well over the holidays, which isn't a huge surprise because it does make a great gift if you're not a gamer and you know someone who likes Star Wars. You're like, I'll get them that. They've got a PlayStation. They have a Nintendo. They make great gifts. We figured it would do well over December, but EA is going to want to figure out a way to monetize that player base again sooner rather than later, probably.
Of course, there's no word on how Bungie plans to rework the microtransactions in Destiny 2 at the moment. So far, this doesn't sound quite as drastic as what EA did with Battlefront 2, but it is an interesting sign that developers are having to take notice of these kinds of complaints from players and are actually doing something about it.
Well, also, it indicates that there are actual ramifications on the games, either whether it's their player bases dropping off or they're getting downgraded in the stock market because of lack of confidence. In some way, it means that they're seeing it affect the bottom line. I mean, look, generally, players leaving a game over a period of time isn't that big a deal. It happens to every game as long as the players who are left are spending money. But must have finally been enough of an issue that Bungie had to let people know that the changes are coming to try to win a little bit of that goodwill and patience back. And you know that other developers around the industry are taking note of that as they plan on how to implement microtransactions into their games as well.
The other issue here is whether or not these Eververse changes will actually fix the problem that players really have with the game. Right now, Eververse has been kind of a scapegoat for players who have been dissatisfied, but it seems like many of them have issues that run deeper than that.
Like your event that you said wasn't an event.
Wasn't an event! Throwing snowballs at enemies isn't an event!
Sure it is.
But judging by the update, 2018 will see plenty more changes along the way, and can I just say that literally I'm just angry that these updates make it Destiny 1 again. Like, Destiny 2 has officially gotten to where Destiny 1 ended. This is a sequel. Do better.
Wow. What do you guys think of Bungie doing a reversal on its microtransactions in Destiny 2 and finally making it Destiny 1? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on Destiny 2 and Bungie's next inevitable apology, remember to like this video. And if you're new around here, subscribe to the know. I'm not bitter.
How does Mica feel about Destiny? Well, Mica, you're a huge Destiny fan!
I am, and that's what makes me so angry! We're sorry, we're going to fix things came in the form of a new development update from game director Chris.
Tweaks then broke other things.
But in this latest update,